you're gonna have a pretty weird episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure when it opens up with a scene of a freaky old witch lady screaming as blood and light explodes from her face as she continuously beats the living shit out of a stray cat. And that's not even counting the scenes this week, which are all about Joseph Joestar having to get rid of this cancerous tumor-like stand on his arm. Excuse me, it's not a tumor, it's just a stand by the name of the Empress. Yes, my friends, in this week's episode of Stardust Crusaders, Jotaro and his friends are still in India and they're trying to dodge Dio and his goons. Except that Joseph Joestar is having a tough time of that, and that's because he has one literally growing on him. Yes, that weird little cancerous growth is actually a stand, and as the episode goes on, it starts to grow into this weird, freaky little fighter, and it is funny. This is another one of those episodes that manages to be both really gory, action-packed, and hilarious at the same time. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that this is a series from the 80s, and it just has that sort of weird, dark sense of humor. And I don't really even know how to explain that, really. That might even sound like I'm pulling something out of my ass. But this series really does have that 80s feel to it in terms of action and gore and a little bit of that comedy thrown in. And I absolutely love it. It makes the series a joy to watch. But I'm really glad that this week's episode focused on Joseph Joestar because he was the main character of the last part of JoJo, and just getting to see him here is very funny. The way he reacts to this weird creature that is growing as the episode goes on. I love how he's constantly just like, no, no, no! It's always really, really funny sounding to me. But what I really love is how the actual scenes open up as this thing is slowly starting to grow. It starts to bite a fly's head off, and it starts to get a little bigger and grows a face. Polnareff is the only one who noticed that it actually has a face. And then when he actually goes to the doctor to have this thing get removed, there's a scene where the doctor's trying to take it off with a scalpel, and you can hear that he's being just mutilated by this thing. And then when Joseph looks over, the guy has a scalpel shoved right into his head. Would you believe that within 12 episodes of the series, there are already 2 scenes where people have been frickin' stabbed by scalpels in the face? What the hell is up with this series? Most of the action and humor this week comes from Joseph Joestar running all over India trying to get this damn thing off of his arm. And there's a lot of really funny results. This thing can talk. It has a personality, and it's a real prick. It's a real sarcastic, deceitful asshole, and it's doing everything it can to either kill Joseph or get him arrested by the police in the area. And that just makes a lot of the scenes really funny, especially when it finally starts to grow arms and it can fight back. It literally punches Joseph Joestar in the face and has this like little battle with him. And again, it goes back to where he's actually trying to defend against it, and it just manages to be really funny. How he actually takes out the Empress is a really, really interesting thing. You see, he was trying to find a camera so he could figure out where the stand user was, but through a use of luck and probably a little bit of ingenuity, he found out a way to use this like dust on the ground to create this map where he could find this coal tar, and that's where he actually dipped his arm into this thing, and it slowly started to like create this like concrete and harden around the Empress, and this gave him the opportunity to wrap his hermit purple around it and rip the damn thing to shreds. And I didn't even go through all of the ridiculous scenes where this thing tried to, like, stab him through the neck with a nail, all the weird little fight scenes they had, the fact that it was literally stealing food from all of the vendors and eating it underneath this cloth that he was hiding it with. This episode was hilarious and very inventive. And it also ended with a little bit of even more humor at the end. I think my favorite scene of the entire episode, and this is like completely pointless, is at the very end of the episode when they get these 2 cars and they're getting ready to drive off. There's a scene where Joseph Joestar has these keys and he throws them at Polnareff, and it just gets stuck in his hair. And I don't know why, but that just made me rear back and laugh. This is one of those episodes that you need to watch with friends. This is a series that begs marathoning. I implore you guys, if you have not watched this series yet, do it now. It is so much fun and so incredibly creative. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Stardust Crusaders? Well, again, I really liked it. There were some parts that were a little slow and some things that were kind of unneeded. However, I do appreciate them because at the beginning of the episode, when they actually make it to this brand new city, they have this little explanation about it. They tell you a little bit about the Ganges River, and this is a real place in the world, and, you know, they didn't need to put that scene in, but it sort of like sets up this entire environment that they're going to be in, and it makes it seem a little more rich and a little more detailed, and it has a little more life to it. That's at least what I'm getting from it anyway. But it's the animation and the humor this week that really stole the show. The weird little freaky Empress, as it went out through the episode, it started out as a tumor, then it turned into a face, then it turned into this weird little Buddha statue thing that could fight. It was really, really strange. And for some odd reason, it even reminded me, God, I cannot believe I'm referencing this. It reminded me of the freaky monster from Basket Case, which is another really shitty horror movie from the 80s. And that's exactly why I think I love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure so much, because I'm a huge fan of horror films. I love a lot of them from the 80s in particular, like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Thing, all those movies. I adore that style of filmmaking from the 80s. And considering this is something that originated from then, and it's set during that same time period, and it just has that art style, just makes me love it even more. The voice acting this week also was just really, really funny. Joseph Joestar as an old man is cantankerous and hilarious. Guys, check out this series if you are into action, ridiculous characters, and a really funny story. Check it out, guys. I cannot implore you enough. This series kicks ass. A little slow this episode, but for the most part, it was really entertaining and just had a lot of crazy stuff going on. So 8 out of 10 on this bad boy. Check it out, guys. Cool episode. If you guys saw this week's episode of Stardust Crusaders, I would love to hear your thoughts about it. You can tell me with your comments below. What did you think about this week's episode? Did you think it was good? Did you think it was bad? Did you have any favorite moments with the Empress stand? And do you have any other theories for what's going to happen in the future of the series? And what did you think about those 2 cars at the end? Didn't you think that was a little ominous? One of those might actually be a stand. That's what I think. Remember, guys, before you leave, make sure to hit that like button so you can give this video a thumbs up. It's really, really easy to do, and it helps out our videos tremendously. The best way to help out our videos, though, is to simply watch them. Watch them, share them with friends, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Make sure you can also check us out on Facebook and on Twitter. I'll put links for all that stuff in the description box below, as well as a link to our PayPal if you guys would like to donate to us. That is completely optional. So, guys, I will see you next time. Super Kami Guru 9000. Out.